Welcome everybody to the Poke Battle Network. I'm Social Flow, and alongside me is the lovely Hurricane Kaz. How you doing, Miss Kaz?
I'm doing amazing. I am so ready to dive into the battles from Sacramento this past weekend.
I am too. The Sacramento Regional Recap is something I've been looking forward to because California is where it is at. I love the West Coast. Anybody who comes to West Coast understands what real battling is about, as the battlers show us amazing skill sets, bring up some spicy Pokemon, and have just a grand old time throughout this entire tournament. Was there anything exciting you saw that you want to give us a little tidbit about?
I am very excited to deep dive into Elite's run as the tournament winner. Not only did he win the tournament, but he was undefeated except for just 2 battles. And we are going to talk all about that, as well as how the meta has shifted with each tournament, looking at the top 12 Pokemon from day 1 and day 2 to see where the spice is coming in, as well as where the meta has stayed the same.
Absolutely. It's going to be amazing to watch this entire tournament and these 87 battlers that signed up for this. We had a newcomer on the desk, Miss Sophtoph. Congratulations. We're so excited to see what you've got. Let's go into our top 12 Pokemon now and find out how the meta shifted. All right. Looking at Sacramento's top 12 day 1, and it is such a delight and reactionary to Peoria, which we had just a weekend ago, Kaz, because Superior has broken through the top 3.
I know, it's immediately like right up there. Like, grass is super meta again, and especially Superior having access to that Aerial Ace makes it the fastest, I think, grass to counter other grasses, because it can outpace Venusaur now. And you don't see Venusaur up there. So yeah, Superior is doing really well. I mean, we saw it in start showing up in Curitiba a little bit, and now top 3 in Sacramento.
As it is one of those anti-grass with that new Aerial Ace boost, it also puts the damage down on that Medicham, and you love to see it. So as we see here, the Medicham and Lickitung core are still the top 2. Get yourself a Medicham, get yourself a Lickitung, XL them like crazy.
Pink power.
Pink power
gonna throw that out.
At this point now, after 3 seasons of it being 70% usage out of 87 battlers, right? That's incredible. 87, 57, 128. It'll still hit that 70% usage.
Yeah. And we see Gligar up there, like a very good counter, like with the updates from the Adventures Abound season. And still Medicham remains on top. And Frostlass, rising as well as Charizard, and still Medicham on top. Like,
Medicham just taking on all of the comers and everything in the top 10 Pokemon. Our first ghost Pokemon that could actually wall it. The first thing that could actually wall Medicham out of the top 12 is this Frostlass, and that just came into the game.
Yeah, and I think Frostlass has seen a very distinct rise, not just because of the popularity of Medicham, but because of the rise of Gligar as well. It's one of the best answers to both of those really dominant core, like those 2 core Pokemon of the Gligar Medicham. Like, no matter what moveset the Medicham has, the Frostlass has, Shadow Ball answer and a slight bait potential with the Avalanche, and can take even the Psychic and Dynamic Punch from Medicham fairly well for being so glassy. So yeah, the rise of Frostlass is not a coincidence. It's a specific reaction to the dominance of the Gligar and Medicham combo.
Great usage here with the flyer, but you do have another flyer here, and it definitely shown. It burned through. Charizard coming back up, showing its dominance again because of the Superior out there and the Medicham. The Charizard, a shadow version, really does have great play, and if you just so happen to feast on a Medicham and have that blast burn, Frostlass gonna have to shield. Registeel gonna have to shield. Sandslash gonna have to, like, things are gonna have to shield. So it does put so much of that attack damage down, and it came through as 17% of the battlers came. But I do, Kaz, the Sableye sneak through, like,
Yeah.
we saw it do really well in Peoria, but it wasn't a top 12. Now it's a top 12.
Sableye remains one, and I'll die on this hill for this little gremlin. Sableye remains one of the best safe swaps in this entire game. So the other thing I want to bring up is the Alolan Sandslash. We've actually started seeing a unique divergence when the Shadow Alolan Sandslash and the regular Sandslash, Alolan Sandslash, got access to Shadow Claw during Community Day. It was a complete game changer for this Pokemon, along with other, move updates. And Shadow Claw was preferred for the neutral damage for a really long time. But we've actually started seeing an increase in the amount of Powder Snow Alolan Sandslashes out there in the meta. And I think that that's a direct response to the rise of Gligar and the additional Lickitung damage, because Shadow Claw does nothing to that Lickitung, but Lickitung is so present in the meta that having that little bit of extra damage has become a really valuable resource.
I've talked about it numerous amounts of times. From the first time we saw Gligar show up in Pittsburgh, I was saying Ice was going to be a great asset to have on your team. That typing is going to be so strong. And I even said maybe we'll start seeing that Powder Snow switch of Sandslash.
No, just the damage potential from Powder Snow, like having access to extra damage in a neutral matchup, I think is where it can really shine. It's already resisting all of Lickitung's charged attacks. So the fact that you can deal continuous damage with your own fast attack of Powder Snow, makes that matchup a little bit easier. And
Dark typing is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow Claw is not going to do it, especially if Dark typing is coming up. So you make great points. That Powder Snow, not just putting it on the Lickitung, but now putting it on that Dark typing threat that you might actually have, which will give you better matchups now with that Drill Run, with that Shadow version. The rise of Powder Snow, Sandslash, almost the same as, like, now it's in the discussions of what would you use, Water Gun Lantern or Spark Lantern, Powder Snow Sandslash or Shadow Claw Sandslash, Psycho Cut Medicham or Counter Medicham. You get to decide, battler.
I know this is day one listing, so you have, I think it was 86 total players, contributing to this stat here. We don't actually see any shadows on this list. So in general, the day one preference is for a little more bulk.
Take after take after take.
Yeah.
But that won't happen because they're so good. As we're going to see what actually made it to day two. And we got tanks on tanks still. They're the shadow Pokemon. But
there they come.
Girl, do you see it in the back? I don't know why 12.5%. Just put one. One battler brought it with his Guzzlord, making it to the top 12.
It's really interesting to see, I think a lot of people in the chat for the tournament brought that up. They're like, 12.5% usage. Like, that seems high because only one person has it on their team. Well, that's just because there are less trainers that we're basing this info on. So one trainer bringing Guzzlord means that Guzzlord is meta now, you guys, and there's nothing we can do about it. Here it comes.
It is 100% coming. And if you look at the top 12 here, you got Medicham at 100%, and half of the battlers brought Gligar and Umbreon.
Mm-hmm.
Building tanks, those top 5 Pokemon right there, tank on tank. You see the Superior and the Registeel down there as tanks there. Bringing in Guzzlord with 245 HP. Let me repeat that. 245 HP. With Lantern sitting at 191. So you kind of understand how tanky Guzzlord really is.
Well, it's all lineup. We do see pretty much all of our bulkiest options in the top row, and then all of the glass cannons, down there in the bottom. I mean, the Guzzlord has a lot of HP, but it still gets hit pretty neutrally by a lot of the Pokemon on this list. And Superior is a bit tanky for a grass, but I mean, grass type, being a pure grass type, it doesn't have a lot of pressure to put on in some of those circumstances. So I feel like we're seeing, you know, a real breakup between like the bulk on top and the high pressure attackers right there coming in hot at the bottom.
Yeah. Response of the top 12 of day one from watching Sacramento. You were going to a regional this weekend. What Pokemon what number one Pokemon do you think you need to have?
I think Gligar would be my pick. I think it puts on some of the best neutral pressure with both of its charged attacks. I think that Gligar is your best, like, flexible, versatile option to tackle almost any Pokemon that you see here. Because as much as it doesn't want to see like the Swampert or the Frostlass, if you have an energy advantage, you can still get some nice chip damage across.
Absolutely, Gligar should be on your team. That's a great decision. I would pick the Umbreon. Just because of that safe swap situation. One, I don't need XLs. Like if I'm a brand new battler, I don't need XLs to build an Umbreon. It's tanky. It does handle the Lickitung. And if you notice that your Medicham isn't rocking Dynamic Punch, you have a better play against it. You don't feel so hard lost. So you can keep the switch timer bank energy. So I think Umbreon has great play and is going to continue to build stock or show itself as a top 6 throughout the rest of the season.
Nice.
After looking at the day 2 and seeing all of these amazing Pokemon, we're going to now take a recap and talk about how it played out in day 2. Kicking us off in Sacramento, we have Elite versus Bopper in the round 1 winners bracket, and Elite takes a dominating 2-0 as the C2U and Dunebug battle it out. Two close calculated friends as Dunebug advances to go see Elite in the winners finals. We're in the losers round. We've got Frostfire and Iomera, two spice Pokemon battlers, bringing it out. The Mantine versus the Charizard, and the Charizard didn't even play as Frostfire won with that Lantern. And we'll see C2U in the round 2 of losers finals as Dray Flames and Jogger Swalt finish off the round 1 of losers. With all the flashy going back and forth, Jogger ends up squeaking out with just the right amount of energy and advances to go fight Bopper in round 2 of losers. The C2U versus Frostfire was a matchup of Charizard versus Lurantis, and I know it sounds crazy, but it was a lot closer than you would think. Even though Frostfire advances in a dominant play, Bopper and Jogger Swat did as well, continue to shine and battle, but again, that Guzzlord was just too healthy for another opponent as Frostfire and Bopper battle each other out in the 3rd round of losers, and again, that Guzzlord just squeaking out an extra win. Bopper now sitting in the losers final, waiting for the winners finals of Elite versus Dunebug, and in a very smart game 3, Elite calls the matchup and sweeps Dunebug, catching the lead right off the bat and taking a dominant 3-0 lead here in the winners to advance to the grand finals. Now Dunebug has to face Bopper, and the two of them duke it out. The Mandibuzz, the Guzzlord, but the terrorizing Guzzlord HP again topples everyone and advances Bopper to the grand finals. We are at the grand finals, Elite versus Bopper, and we've seen Elite before. Can he make that sweet magic? Game 1, an amazing play, keeping just a little energy and getting the chip damage off. Game 2, just calculating team after team, understanding the reads and what he needed to bring. And finally in Game 3, locks it down as Bopper tries to make a catch and makes the wrong call and locks his Guzzlord onto a very healthy, very energy loaded Gligar, and that was what took it for grand finals. Congratulations to Elite for now adding a 9-0 record to your battling card. We're going to do a little dive with Hurricane Kaz and follow Elite's run.
Okay, Uh, I just want to highlight the entire run of Elite and the absolute like strategy that he managed to employ so consistently across the entire tournament. Uh, he only dropped 2 battles out of all of the matchups, day 1 and day 2. He only dropped 2 battles on day 1 and not a single battle dropped on day 2, absolutely showing why he is such a major force to be reckoned with in the play Pokemon circuit, despite this only being his second appearance like at a regional, as you were pointing out in your summary of the final matchups. So it, not only was he undefeated, but like his team reading throughout the tournament was absolutely incredible. We saw him make really great adjustments each and every time. Some players like to rely on staples that they know of, a lead, a safe swap, pivot, and a Pokemon in the back that can deal out significant charged attack damage. But Elite actually showing that being really flexible and taking the time to team read can lead to some super clean matchups, as he showed in the finals. So on day 1, he matched up against Haydanis first, and we saw a matchup of bulk, like we were talking about in our top 12 summaries. We saw Lickitung on Lickitung, we saw Umbreon on Umbreon, but the Frostlash pressure from Elite actually paid off significantly. He led Frostlash all 3 games and was able to pivot appropriately in each one to maintain his advantage. And moving on from Haydanis, we saw his matchup with Chemcoop from day 1, adjusted really well for each match as well, managing his energy in the second match and the rematch from that second match was won on a very fine line, but it just goes to show how that energy management can play out in the end game. And then in his final match from day 1 against Frostfire, he continues to adjust well, not bringing Frostlass, each time as he had shown in previous games, but really showing the flexibility that he has as a trainer. Unfortunately, no answer for Charizard led to him dropping a match against Frostfire in that day 1. And the Umbreon proving too safe for him to handle in that second game. But great adjustments again in the third match, bringing the Lantern after Frostfire thought that he had perhaps left it on the bench. Elite bringing the Lantern and his own Umbreon, spending shields on his Gligar to pave the way for that Lantern to lead him to victory. And then, of course, you just summarized the grand finals for all of these players so well, but we need to bring special focus to the grand finale between Elite and Bopper. So Bopper's Double Dark line doesn't work as well against Elite's Dynamic Punch Medicham and Umbreon Core. A great team read adjustment from Bopper on game 2, leading his Guzzlord into that Umbreon, but the incredibly tight finish there needed a much more precise play than Bopper was prepared for. It was actually almost hard to see on the stream with his Bopper's Sableye lined up against Elite's Umbreon. He just needed one more Shadow Claw to get to the return there, but threw the foul play instead, which was enough to knock out the Umbreon, but left the Sableye with no energy and not enough health left to even defeat its greatest, one of its greatest counters in Medicham. So the incredible fine plays there, really showing the knowledge that both of these players both have and need to employ there in the grand finals match. So in the third matchup, we have Bopper bringing Shadow Venusaur against Elite, hoping it acts as another counter for the Umbreon, since Shadow Venusaur able to do such incredible damage, able to overpower even the bulky Umbreon in most scenarios. Bopper bringing that, and in hopes that that combined with his Guzzlord could outbulk Elite's team. But unfortunately, once again, Elite making some adjustments of his own, and not only adjustments, but exercising excruciatingly perfect timing against the high pressure attacks of both Shadow, Venusaur, and Guzzlord. Even the thick Lickitung just doesn't have enough attack pressure against Elite's Medicham and Umbreon core. Once again, that Dynamic Punch Medicham really showing why it's becoming such a dominant force in the meta. This goes to show, like, not only is he a good team reader, but also just a team builder, right? Knowing the weaknesses that open up when you swap to a Dynamic Punch Medicham as opposed to the Psychic Medicham, and adjusting the rest of his team to account for that. Like, yes, the Dynamic Punch is going to handle the darks a lot better. It's going to handle steals a lot better. So what do I need to cover instead of that? Like, now that those are taken care of, what does that open up on my team? And who can I bring to balance out this attack pressure? And I think he made a really great call, especially in day 2, consistently bringing that Dynamic Punch Medicham with Umbreon. That is a really strong and tanky core that doesn't have a lot of core breakers. I mean, Medicham certainly has more weaknesses, but you don't have a lot of things that can take on both of those Pokemon and live to tell the tale. So really excellent skill bringing his, that core to his team and understanding the power of Dynamic Punch.
Big old nod over here to Dunebug running the double flyer, Mandibuzz and the Gligar. We saw him play it out. It got him a 3rd round spot here in Sacramento. He played it wonderfully. It was great to see him come back up into the game. You know what? We also, I know we're gushing over this Guzzlord because it got to 2nd, but I need to give a big old nod to the CTU for this Lurantis.
Yes.
No one was thinking about, and Iomero Mantine that no one had on their radar. Like, these two Pokemon and these two battlers came in with their style, and they were like, I want these Pokemon because I know how they play, and they got to day 2 with it. I think this meta allows it. Yes, we were talking about the core of Lickitung and Medicham being really hard, what's going to beat it, but having those two allows you to have a 6 spot that's really open now to play more towards your style. Well, that will wrap up the Sacramento Regional Day 2 recap. Congratulations to these top 8 battlers who made it. It looks like Cali Love is on top, as they always come out. No one comes out to show up the West. The West takes care of itself, as you see all of these top tier battlers. And I'm going to say it again, the King of the West, Elite, 9-0 in the grand finals here on the West Coast, just being in 2 regionals. So good, like, just amazing stats right there. We cannot wait to see, I cannot wait to see what he does with the future, if he's going to be traveling to any other tournaments on the East Coast.
And my main takeaway from looking at his team and looking at his run is Frostlass was a dominant force for him on day 1. And then day 2, Dynamic Punch Medicham actually outshone on his team.
So GG's here for everybody who showed up to Sacramento. That's going to wrap up the regional recap of this Sacramento tournament. We saw Elite take on the world again and end up on top, sweeping it all and adding to his grand final records. This is quite a message here that he is sending, as the top 12 Pokemon as well started to mix up and send us another message saying that this meta has not settled down. How do you think that is, Miss Kaz?
Yeah, certainly the shift between day one top 12 and day two top 12 showed us that there's a lot of flexibility in this meta still. And we saw some familiar faces, but we saw some new Pokemon up even in like the top 3. Serperior showing that it is not going anywhere. It wants to stay in the meta, and Frostlass coming in hot despite the rise of dark types. So no, this meta is nowhere near solidified yet, and I can't wait to see where it goes. Elite definitely showed us that that flexibility is the key to victory, not just being able to utilize and build your team properly, but reading your opponent's team and staying flexible, able to make adjustments with your Pokemon, really paved the way to his very dominant victory, going absolutely undefeated except for just 2 battles in day 1, not even in day 2. It's like he took the lessons from day 1 and was like, no, you know what? I can make this a clean finals sweep. Yes. Congrats, Elite.
Congrats indeed. He's joining a couple of other battlers that did an amazing job, and those names are not to be taken lightly. Wadaj and King Alexander are now joined with Elite, as he is now the Sacramento winner. We have Toronto, San Antonio, and Portland as the next 3 NA regional champions coming up. Ms. Kaz, are you planning on going to any of these tournaments?
I'm really hoping to make some of the tournaments later in the season, but certainly it'll be really interesting to watch how the meta continues to shift as we move on to Toronto, San Antonio, and Portland in North America. But North America is not the only regional tournament circuit. We have the tournament in Lille, France, coming up in the European circuit. And as we've seen in the previous Play Pokemon regional tournaments, it'll be really interesting to see how the Europeans also shift the meta. There's always a slight difference between North America and Europe, and even the other regions, Latin America and Oceania, when it comes to the meta choices. Some things remain the same, but it'll be really interesting to see how Europe takes on this continuously evolving meta and might bring in some new players to challenge that Medicham Lickitung core.
Yes, as Lille is rearing its head this weekend, we are going to see how quickly people respond to what had happened. We saw how quickly Frostlass jumped up into the top 12, and even the Sableye too made its sneaky way in there, digging some beautiful gems out and getting itself into the finals here. So this was an amazing showing of a new adjustment. And like you said, that Serperior solidified itself as the grass Pokemon. But that means that we are going to see some other players come out. Poison might come out nowadays because of that grass with that normal, right? You get something with like a poison or a bug type move on it, and you could really have some fun there. We do have a new Pokemon joining that is going to be a core breaker out here soon with that Clodsire
oh my gosh,
Community Day. Yes, be very excited. So
I cannot wait.
Never fear though, Medicham is here for all of you battlers, so be sure to keep building that Medicham, as it is still the #1 in all of the top 8. This is 16 battlers that all had Medicham in the top 8 the last 2, so we'll find out if Lil can break that. Congratulations to Soph Toph on her debut this weekend. Yes. An amazing job joining the casters. The amazing Speediest Chief. They did an amazing time together, just building off each other, giving us that wonderful analysis. She took swipes at Caleb right off the bat because of Fresno. You could see she just felt comfortable at the desk. And Caleb and Butters giving us that 1-2 combo, that energy hype analysis that they do. Like, they are just on point now. It is so great to see everybody finding their groove. And, everybody was kind of taking a shot at Caleb because Elite was the one who swept him. Like, you have to be like, Caleb, are you okay? Like, flashed out, he said, no, I'm a good player. This is what it's about. He had so much fun. He was like, oh, I was like, dude, everybody was taking shots at you. He was loving it. He was like, no, it was great. It was fun to see Elite win, he said. And so he was very happy and a good sport through that. So,
I mean, all of All of the casters really showing off their incredible knowledge of not just the meta, but Pokemon in general. I mean, Caleb is a master team builder. So that really shows when he talks about analyzing each player's team and talks about why someone might want to bring that Dynamic Punch Medicham over the Psychic Medicham. He's one to really think about that. And of course, Butters is a natural complement to Caleb, having really strong reactions alongside his incredible meta knowledge. And like you said, a huge congrats to Soph Toph for her casting debut. It was so fun to watch her on the desk. She really looked like she was having a great time and demonstrating what strong analysis skills she has and why she also is a top battler as well. And complemented super well with Speediest Chief as always. He's so charismatic on the camera and knows how to skillfully direct the way through all of these really incredible matchups across the tournament.
Yeah, they were so great together. A great pairing. A great job on the production, too. Adding the new graphics. We got that catch.
Yes.
We all saw that, right? Did we all catch that? Everybody catch that catch graphic?
I think we all caught the amazing catch graphic, and what a great addition it is, especially for people that might look at these streams and think, why is Pokemon Go an app on my phone on here? The catch graphic really goes a long way to showing that there is so much skill involved in this game and draw attention to that skill that these players have developed and practiced with each other and on these tournament streams. I was so excited to see it, and it looked like everyone in the chat was as well. So great addition, production team.
Well done indeed. That's going to wrap it up for us here at the PokeBattle Network. Thank you, Miss Kaz, for joining us tonight.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun to look back at these battles after a super intense weekend in Sacramento and watch, really analyze the path to victory for these trainers. So thank you very much, Sosa, for having me.
Absolutely. Your deep dive on Elite's run was needed. We all understand, like, we see him winning. Why did he do it? And you giving us that breakdown on every matchup, understanding and showing us really he does have a great knowledge. He's not just a...
The team does not make the trainer makes the team. And we all watch these streams hoping to get better. So I think it's important that we all look at how winners win and what we can take away from that pathway to really help ourselves get better in this ever-changing, ever-evolving Pokemon game.
Absolutely. So thank you for that deep dive analysis there. Thank you all for watching. You can get all of the links down below where to watch day 2, day 1. Thank you, DracoViz, for the amazing information and stats throughout the tournament. They are always there for us, giving us the breakdowns, giving us the runs, and all of that information. If you're looking for a website to find out what people brought, they have the teams, they have the bracket connection and the stream as well. So go and take a look out there. Congratulations to everybody who made the top 64, getting 50 points this weekend as well. I believe it is just one win you needed, as 26 battlers had an 0-2, which means that top, what is that, 56 were, if you had one win, you made it to the 56th spot. So that is easily a 50 point. So congratulations to all you battlers out there that got yourself 50 points in the Elite Championship. And good luck to the rest of you trying to build your journey. Unlike Elite, because he's already secured himself the spot, joining with Dodge and King Alexander. Thank you all for watching the PokeBattle Network. I'm Sosa Flow, and like always, keep on battling.